Welcome to Hista Sleep, a place where every gentle sound guides you toward peace, and every moment helps you drift into deep, restful sleep. I'm so glad you've joined me tonight. Dear listener, feel the room around you soften. Notice the quiet corners, the gentle weight of the air resting on your shoulders. Let your breath move in slowly through your nose and out again, unhurried. There is nowhere you need to go, nothing you need to solve. Just this small pocket of calm that belongs only to you. Allow your body to settle a little deeper. If you are lying down, let your head grow heavier against the pillow. If you are sitting, let your spine be supported. Imagine a faint winter breeze brushing past your window. Not cold, just cool enough to feel clean and still. Somewhere in the distance, perhaps there is the faintest rustle of bare branches touching one another, a soft wooden creak from a house adjusting to the night. Everything is steady, everything is slow. Take another breath in, and as you breathe out, let your jaw unclench. Let your tongue rest gently. Let your eyes soften, even if they are still open for now. You are safe here. You are warm enough. You are allowed to rest. As your breathing finds its own rhythm, imagine the quiet before snowfall. The air is expectant, hushed, as though the whole world is holding a gentle secret. The sky above is wide and pale. The earth below is waiting. And when you feel ready, when your thoughts have begun to drift like soft clouds across a winter sky, our story today begins in a small village tucked between deep evergreen forests and a wide silver river that sleeps beneath ice each winter. This village has experienced many winters, the kind that comes slowly at first, with a single flake melting on a mitten, and then, all at once, with thick white silence that covers rooftops and roads and fields. The villagers prepare carefully every year. They stack firewood high against their cottages. They seal windows with cloth and wax. They cook stews that fill their kitchens with the scent of root vegetables and herbs. They tell stories by lantern light while the wind hums beyond the doors. And every year, when the first true snow falls and settles without melting, something extraordinary happens. The entire village falls asleep. Not an ordinary sleep, not the kind that comes at the end of a long day. This is a deep, gentle drifting. Mothers lay down beside their children. Bakers rest their flour-dusted hands on wooden tables. Shepherds curl near their hearths. One by one, as snow gathers along the rooftops, every villager closes their eyes and slips into stillness. It has always been this way. The elders say it keeps them safe. They say the winter is too long, too harsh, too hungry to face awake. So the village sleeps through it, and when the first thaw comes, when the river cracks and the birds return, they wake as if from a peaceful dream. All of them, all except one. If these quiet tales are helping you drift off, a gentle like or a silent subscribe would mean the world. It helps this sleepy corner of the internet reach others who need a little calm too. I always wonder, where in the world are you listening from right now? If you're still awake, leave a whisper of a comment, maybe your city and the time on your clock. It's a beautiful thing, this quiet little global gathering, all connected through stories and stillness. Now, let's set the mood, dim the lights, maybe turn on a fan for that soft background hum, and get comfortable. In the smallest cottage at the edge of the forest lived a child named Ellen. Ellen was neither the tallest nor the loudest child in the village. She preferred to sit near windows and watch the world rather than run through it. She collected smooth stones from the river in autumn and kept them in a wooden box beneath her bed. She liked the way quiet things held stories. In the evening, the first true snow began to fall. Ellen felt the familiar drowsiness creep into her bones. It was like warm honey poured slowly through her veins. She had felt it every winter before. She knew what would come. Her mother had already braided her hair and kissed her forehead. Her father had placed another log on the hearth and smiled in that soft, distant way he always did when snow began to gather. "Sleep well," her mother had whispered. Ellen lay beneath her blankets and listened to the crackle of the fire. She watched snow gather at the corners of her window. She felt her eyelids grow heavy, but this year something inside her resisted. Not fear, not exactly. More like a small, bright thread of curiosity that refused to dim. Her mother's breathing deepened beside her. Her father's chair creaked once, then went still. The fire settled into a low glow. Outside, the wind moved gently through the trees. Ellen waited for sleep to take her. It did not. She lay very still for a long time. Her heart beat slowly but steadily. She could feel the hush of the village beyond her walls. A deep, collective silence. Carefully, she pushed herself upright. Her mother did not stir. Her father did not move. Ellen slipped her feet into woolen socks and crossed the wooden floor. When she opened the cottage door, the hinges made no sound at all. It was as if the world had been wrapped in thick velvet. The snow outside reflected a pale light from the sky. Every rooftop was softened. Every fence post is rounded with white. No lanterns burned. No footsteps marked the ground. She was alone. The air was cold enough to bite her cheeks, but it did not feel cruel. It felt watchful. Ellen stepped into the snow. It made a soft crunch beneath her boots. The only sound in a vast stretch of quiet. She walked past the baker's house, past the well in the square, past the tall pine that marked the center of the village. Every door was closed, every window is dark. She turned slowly, taking it in, and then she saw it. At the far edge of the square, near the path that led into the forest, something shifted. Not a person, not an animal, a shadow that moved against the pale snow. Ellen's breath caught, but she did not run. The shadow stretched tall and thin, like smoke rising upright. It slid across the ground without disturbing the snow. It paused near the door of the blacksmith's cottage. Then it passed through the wood as if it were mist. Ellen's heart beat faster now, but not wildly. There was a strange calm to the moment, as though whatever she was seeing had been happening for a very long time. She crossed the square slowly. Each step is careful. When she reached the blacksmith's door, she hesitated only a moment before pressing her ear to the wood. Inside, there was the faintest sound, a sound like a sigh, or perhaps like wind moving through a narrow space. She pushed the door open. The blacksmith lay on his cot, his massive hands resting on his chest. The shadow stood beside him, bending slightly. From the blacksmith's lips drifted a faint shimmer, not breathing exactly, not visible steam, something softer. The shadow gathered it gently, tenderly. Ellen felt no sense of violence, no tearing or struggle. The blacksmith's face remained peaceful. The shimmer rose and thinned, and the shadow absorbed it like fog absorbing light. When it was finished, the shadow straightened and turned toward her. Ellen froze. The shadow did not have eyes, yet she felt seen. It tilted slightly, as though curious. Then it drifted past her and through the wall. Ellen stood in the quiet cottage, her thoughts moving slowly, like thick snow sliding from a roof. It was not an attack. It was a conversation. But of what? She stepped closer to the blacksmith and studied his face. He looked unchanged, still breathing, still warm. Yet something felt lighter in the room, as though a story had been removed from a shelf. Ellen stepped back outside. The square now seemed less empty. She began to notice more movement at the edges of her vision, more shadows gliding from house to house. They were everywhere, and they had always been here. Ellen walked toward the forest path. The shadows seemed to gather in that direction after leaving the cottages. They flowed like a slow river of darkness between the trees. The forest at night in winter is a different world. The branches hold snow in their arms. The ground is muffled. Even the air feels thicker. Ellen followed. Her breath formed small clouds before her face. The deeper she went, the more shadows she saw converging ahead. They moved without sound, converging toward a clearing she had never visited before. In the center of that clearing stood a stone, well, half buried in snow. The shadows circled it. One by one, they leaned inward, releasing the faint, shimmering light they had gathered. The lights pooled above the well like drifting lanterns, soft gold, pale blue, silver white. Dreams, Ellen realized. They were gathering dreams. The lights slowly sank into the well, disappearing below the stone rim. When the last shimmer faded, the shadows grew thinner, almost transparent. They lingered for a moment, then dispersed into the trees. Ellen stepped into the clearing. The well felt ancient. Its stones were worn smooth. Frost traced delicate patterns along its edge. She peered inside. At first, she saw only darkness. Then, far below, a faint glow pulsed, slow, steady, like a sleeping heart. Ellen felt a strange tug in her chest, a sense that this was not new, that her ancestors had stood here long ago. The elders had always said the winter's sleep kept them safe. But safe from what? And what did the well hold that required so many dreams? The wind moved softly through the branches above her. Snow loosened and fell in gentle puffs around her boots. For the first time, Ellen felt the weight of being the only one awake. The village trusted the sleep. They trusted the ritual. They did not question it. But she had seen. She turned back toward. Behind her, deep within the well, the faint glow pulsed once more, stronger this time, and somewhere beneath the earth, something shifted. Dear listener, let your breath stay slow and even as we return to the quiet forest clearing. Imagine the snow resting softly on your shoulders. Though you do not feel cold, the air is still. The night is wide and patient. You are simply observing, wrapped in calm, as Ellen stands beside the ancient well and listens to the faint pulse beneath the earth. She does not lean too far forward. She does not call out. She only watches the soft glow far below, steady as a heartbeat. Inhale gently, exhale slowly. The glow brightens, then dims like a lantern turned low. Ellen presses her mittened hand against the stone rim. The rock is cold but not biting. It feels old, older than the cottages, older than the pine in the village square, perhaps older than the village itself. The wind drifts through the trees in a slow whisper. Snow loosens from a high branch and falls in a soft sigh to the ground. The forest feels watchful, but not hostile, like a room holding its breath. Ellen steps back from the well. Far beyond the clearing, she senses movement again. The shadows are returning to the village. Their shapes are thinner now, as if the act of gathering has tired them. They move like smoke at the edge of vision, slipping between tree trunks, gliding over untouched snow. She follows at a careful distance. With each step, feel the snow beneath her boots, a quiet crunch, a steady rhythm, in and out, in and out. As she reaches the first cottages, she notices something new. Frost has crept higher along the walls. Icicles hang longer from the eaves. The cold feels deeper, settling into the spaces between houses. Ellen returns to her own cottage. She steps inside. Her mother and father remain asleep, faces peaceful. The fire in the hearth has burned down to red coals, but it has not gone out. It seems to hold its warmth without needing wood, as though the world itself is paused. Ellen kneels beside her mother and studies her face. She tries to sense what has changed. There is no wound, no visible loss. But when Ellen closes her eyes for a moment and imagines her mother laughing in the kitchen, the image feels slightly thinner, like a story told too many times, its colors fading. Ellen opens her eyes quickly. She sits back on her heels and listens. The silence of the village is not empty. It hums softly, like a low, distant tone you can almost hear if you focus long enough. The shadows are not done. That night, Ellen does not try to sleep. She wraps herself in a blanket and sits by the hearth. The coals glow softly, crackling now and then in gentle pops. Outside, the snow continues to fall, thick and steady. Hours pass, though time feels different, slower, stretching like long threads of silver. When the sky lightens slightly, though no sun truly rises in this deep winter, Ellen steps outside again. The snow has covered her footprints from the night before. The village looks untouched, but she knows better. She visits another cottage, then another. Each time, she sees the faint trace of something missing, not visible to the eye, but felt in the chest, a quiet dimming. On the third night, she returns to the forest clearing before the shadows arrive. She waits beside the well. As you listen, imagine yourself there too, the cold air brushing your cheeks, the soft weight of quiet. The well before you, rimmed with frost. The shadows arrive, one by one. They circle her. They do not rush her. They do not hiss or reach. They pause. Ellen's heart beats faster, but she stands her ground. One shadow separates from the others. It is slightly denser, its edges less frayed. It drifts closer, stopping just beyond her reach. The air around it feels cooler, yet not painful. Ellen speaks, her voice small but steady. "What are you taking?" The shadow tilts, as though considering her. No mouth opens. No words form in the air. Yet Ellen feels something in her mind, a slow, distant echo. We take what is given. The words are not spoken. They are impressions, gentle but firm, given. she whispers, freely. Ellen shakes her head. They don't know. A pause. They once knew. The other shadows lean inward, toward the well, releasing their gathered lights. Soft golds and blues rise again, pooling above the stone before sinking below. Ellen watches closely this time. As the lights descend, the glow within the well grows stronger. The pulse quickens slightly. What is down there? She asks. Warmth. The impression comes. Life. Balance. The shadow before her seems to stretch slightly taller. Long ago, the winters did not end. Ellen sees flashes in her mind. Snow burying cottages completely, crops failing, rivers froze for years, children crying from hunger, fires burning out. We held back the deep cold. With dreams, she asks, with what humans make when they rest. Ellen's breath trembles, and if you don't take them, the pause this time is longer. The glow in the well flickers. The winter grows. As if in answer, a wind moves sharply through the clearing. Snow lifts in small spirals. The branches creak more loudly. Ellen feels the truth settling like frost on glass. This is not theft. It is a tribute, a bargain made long ago. But they forget, she says softly. Every year they forget. For peace, for obedience, she counters, surprising herself. The shadow does not deny it. Silence spreads again. Ellen thinks of the village square in spring, of children chasing one another through puddles, of the baker's bright laughter, of her father lifting her onto his shoulders during the first thaw. How many dreams have been taken over the years? How much has been dimmed? What if someone stays awake? She asks, quietly. The shadow before her shifts. Unwise. Why? Awake minds remember. The wind moves again, softer now. Remembering breaks cycles. Ellen feels something settle inside her. A small, steady flame. She looks down into the well. The glow pulses brighter than before. It no longer feels distant. It feels aware. You need us, she says. We are bound to the well, to the land, to the agreement. Ellen looks back at the village through the trees. If I refuse, she asks. The shadow leans closer. Spring delays. The words carry no threat, only fact. Ellen closes her eyes briefly. She imagines the snow never melting, the river never cracks. The forest is locked in white silence forever. When she opens her eyes, she speaks carefully, then make a new agreement. The shadows ripple slightly at that. Impossible. Nothing is impossible, she says, though her voice shakes. The well's glow flickers, uncertain. Ellen steps closer to the rim. Take mine, she says. The shadows grow still. All of them, my dreams. Every winter, I will stay awake. I will remember. You can take what you need from me. The clearing feels charged now, as though the air itself is listening. The shadow before her studies her in silence. One human cannot sustain the well. Ellen swallows. Then take more from me. A pause. Take my winters, she whispers. The wind stills completely. In the distance, the village seems impossibly far away. Explain. The shadow presses gently. Ellen breathes slowly. Inhale, exhale. Let them wake each winter. Let them face the cold awake. Teach them to tend fires, to share food, to endure it. Take my winters instead. When snow falls, I will not age. I will not change. I will stand watch. You may draw what you need from me. The shadows stir, uncertain. You would remain between seasons. She nods, alone. Her throat tightens, but she nods again. The glow in the well pulses harder now, brighter, as if stirred by the possibility. The forest seems to lean inward. The shadow drifts closer than before. It is so near she can feel the chill radiating from it. Ellen thinks of her mother's fading laughter, of stories thinning, of memories dissolving like frost under a weak sun. Because they deserve to remember, she says. The silence that follows is deep and vast. Then, slowly, the shadow extends a thin tendril of darkness toward her forehead. Ellen does not step back. When it touches her skin, she feels a sudden rush of light. Not pain, not exactly, more like a door opening inside her mind. Images spill outward, every dream she has ever had, running through golden fields, flying above the river, sitting at her grandmother's knee. The shadows gather the light carefully, but they do not take all. They leave something at the center, a core, a steady ember. The well's glow flares brilliantly. The snow around the clearing trembles slightly, then settles. When it is done, the impression comes. Ellen sways, but does not fall. From this winter onward, the village will wake. The cold will remain harsh. They must learn. And me, she asks softly. You will stand between. The world shifts. The forest blurs. When it clears, Ellen stands at the edge of the village. Snow still falls gently, but something feels different. Inside the cottages, there is movement, a cough, a creak of a bed, a door opening slightly, her mother's voice, confused but awake. Ellen looks down at her hands. They are unchanged, yet she feels suspended, not fully in the same current as the others. The villagers step into the snow, blinking in surprise at the deep winter around them. They do not remember sleeping. They do not remember the bargain. They only know the cold. Ellen watches as her father gathers wood, as neighbors call to one another in confusion, as fires are built brighter than ever before. The shadows linger at the edge of the forest, thinner, now quieter. The well glows faintly in the distance. Ellen turns toward it. She knows where she must stand when night falls again, between the village and the trees, between warmth and frost, between memory and forgetting. And as the first winter with waking eyes unfolds, Ellen feels the long, quiet stretch of seasons ahead of her, still, steady, watching. Breathe in gently, dear listener, and breathe out. The village hums with cautious life behind her. The forest whispers before her, and somewhere deep below the earth, the well pulses in slow, satisfied rhythm. Dear listener, let your breathing remain slow and unhurried as we continue. Feel the quiet of your own room. Perhaps there is a soft hum in the background. Perhaps the air is still. Let your shoulders sink a little deeper. Let your hands grow warm and heavy. You are simply listening now, drifting alongside this winter story. Night settles again over the village, but this night is different. For the first time in generations, lanterns glow in cottage windows after the first snowfall. Smoke rises steadily from chimneys. The soft rhythm of human life continues instead of fading into silence. Ellen stands at the edge of the forest, where the snow lies smooth and untouched. Behind her, she can hear distant voices, confused laughter, the steady thud of an axe splitting wood, someone calling for extra blankets. The village is awake. The cold is real now. It presses against walls. It creeps beneath doors. It tests the strength of shutters and seams. Without the long enchanted sleep, winter must be endured. Ellen inhales slowly. The air feels sharper to her than before, clearer. She senses the deep currents beneath the land, like underground rivers of cold and warmth moving in balance. The shadows gather at the tree line. They are thinner than before, less numerous. They do not glide toward cottages now. They remain within the forest, watching. Ellen steps forward until she stands between the first row of trees and the final cottage fence. She does not feel heroic. She feels steady. A small shape detaches itself from the shadows and drifts toward her. It is the same presence that spoke to her at the well. Its edges ripple softly, like ink dispersing in water. The exchange holds. It impresses gently into her thoughts. Ellen nods. Already she feels something different inside herself. A quiet drawing sensation, as though her own dreams are being gathered even while she stands awake, not pulled from her forcefully, but offered. She closes her eyes briefly. Images rise within her, not just her own small dreams, but larger ones, hopes she never speaks aloud. The wish that her village might grow braver, the quiet longing to understand the forest beyond its fearsome stories. Those images glow softly inside her chest. The shadow absorbs a portion of that glow. The well pulses in response. Far beneath the snow, Ellen exhales slowly. Behind her, a door creaks open. Footsteps crunch through snow. Ellen, it is her mother's voice, puzzled and concerned. Ellen turns. Her mother stands wrapped in a thick wool shawl, cheeks flushed from cold. Her eyes are clear, awake, present. "Why are you out here?" her mother asks gently. Ellen studies her face carefully. The laughter lines at the corners of her eyes are deeper than Ellen remembers. The warmth in her gaze feels full, not thin. "I wanted to see the forest," Ellen replies. Her mother follows her gaze to the dark line of trees. She shivers slightly, but not from fear. "It feels closer this year," she says. Ellen nods. It is. Her mother steps closer and wraps the shawl tighter around Ellen's shoulders. The gesture is simple, loving, entirely conscious. For a moment, Ellen allows herself to lean into that warmth. Then she steps back. "I will help keep watch," she says softly. Her mother smiles faintly. "We will all keep watch," she answers. The words settle deeply. We will all keep watch. The villagers do not remember the ancient bargain. They do not know of the well or the tribute of dreams, but something inside them understands the need for vigilance, for shared effort. That first winter awake is difficult. Let yourself imagine it gently. The sound of wind pushing against shutters, the steady crackle of hearth fires burning long into the night, neighbors visiting one another, carrying soup and wood and blankets. Snow falls heavy some nights, light on others. The river groans beneath thickening ice. Ellen does not sleep. Not truly. When she lies down beside her parents, her body rests, but her mind remains aware. She senses the shadows drawing quietly from the steady ember within her, not greedily, not harshly, just enough. Each time they draw, the well below the clearing pulses in response. And the cold outside does not deepen beyond what the village can endure. Days pass, weeks pass. The villagers grow stronger in their wakefulness. They learn to ration food carefully. They learn to reinforce roofs before storms. They gather in the square to share songs that push back against long nights. Children laugh in spirits. Their breath forms silver clouds in the air. Ellen watches it all with quiet attention. Sometimes she walks to the clearing alone. She stands beside the well and listens to its steady rhythm. It no longer feels hungry, it feels sustained. One evening, as twilight spreads pale blue across the snow, the shadow presence approaches her again. "You weaken," it observes. Ellen considers this. She does feel thinner in some quiet way, not ill, not fading, but stretched between moments, suspended. "I will endure," she replies softly. The shadow seems to ripple in something like contemplation. "You are bound now to the turning of seasons." Ellen looks up at the sky. Snow drifts lazily downward. "What does that mean?" she asks. "When winter falls, you remain as you are, and when spring comes, you move again." She breathes in slowly, letting the words settle. "So I will not age during winter," she says quietly. "No." A strange calm spreads through her. The villagers will age, grow, change, but each winter she will remain suspended, watching, offering. The cost is not small, yet she does not regret it. The coldest night of that first waking winter arrives without warning. The wind howls through the village, pushing snow in thick waves against doors and windows. The sky disappears behind white fury. Inside the cottages, fires roar. People huddle together. Ellen stands at the forest edge once more. The shadows gather thickly tonight. The well pulses brighter. The deep cold presses harder than before, testing the new agreement. The shadow presence drifts close. The land remembers the old pattern. It murmurs within her mind. It resists change. Ellen closes her eyes. She lets every warm memory she holds rise to the surface. Her mother's voice singing softly while kneading dough, the taste of berries in summer, the smell of pine sap in autumn sunlight. Those memories glow fiercely. The shadows draw upon them carefully. The well flares bright, and the wind begins to soften, slowly, gradually. The storm loses its sharp edge. Snow still falls, but it no longer screams. Behind her, the village holds. No roofs collapse, no fires go out. When morning comes, pale and quiet, the world is buried in deep drifts, but the sky is clear. The villagers step outside together. They laugh at the height of the snowbanks. They work side by side to clear paths. Ellen watches them with a small, steady smile. The bargain holds. Years begin to pass. Let your breathing stay slow as time moves gently forward. Spring is coming. The river cracks open. Birds return in cautious arcs across the sky. Flowers push through melting snow. Ellen feels the shift inside herself when winter releases its grip. The suspended stillness loosens. Time catches her again. She grows. She changes. Summer is bright and full. Autumn is golden and fragrant. And when the first snow falls again, the village remains awake. They no longer expect sleep. They prepare for the cold with steady hands and open eyes. Ellen feels the pause settle into her bones once more as winter deepens. She stands again at the forest edge. The shadows are fewer now, thinner. The well pulses steadily, but without desperation. Each year, the exchange requires less. The villagers grow resilient. Their fires burn brighter. Their songs grow stronger. They begin to tell new stories. Stories of ancestors who once slept through winter. Stories of a time when memory was dim. They do not know why those old patterns changed, but they feel gratitude for the strength they now carry. Ellen listens quietly when they speak of endurance, of courage. She does not need recognition. She stands between seasons, steady as the well's pulse. And as you listen, dear listener, imagine the steady rhythm beneath it all. A soft glow deep below the surface, balanced, calm. The village breathes through winter, now awake, connected. The forest stands watch, no longer as a taker, but as a partner in quiet exchange. Ellen remains at the boundary, neither fully in shadow nor fully in light, and the world turns gently onward. Let your breath follow that turning, slow, even. Feel the warmth of your own safe space around you. The snow in this story continues to fall softly, but it no longer carries fear. Only stillness, only rest, and somewhere between wakefulness and dream, the well pulses on in perfect, peaceful balance. If you are still listening, let your thoughts drift like snow settling over a quiet village. There is nothing more you need to hold tonight. Only this calm, only this steady rhythm. Rest now, sleep gently. The winter is balanced, and all is well. Winter returns again, as it always does. But this time, it does not feel like an enemy. It feels like an old, stern teacher, firm, demanding, honest. Ellen stands taller now in the summers. She laughs more easily in the warmth of July. She runs along the riverbank when the ice has long since melted. Yet, when the first snow begins to fall each year, she feels the familiar stillness wrap around her bones. Time loosens its grip on her. The first winter after the great storm passes more gently than anyone expected. The villagers adapt. They build shared storehouses. They carve deeper cellars. They craft thicker cloaks lined with fur and wool. Children are taught how to mend nets and stack wood before they are tall enough to reach the upper shelves. The village changes in small but meaningful ways, and Ellen notices something else. The shadows begin to change too. They no longer drift as aimlessly as before. They no longer circle the clearing in tight, anxious formations. They move with purpose, but with less hunger. One evening, as the sky turns a pale silver just before nightfall, Ellen walks alone toward the well. Snow falls lightly around her, each flake settling without sound. The forest does not feel threatening now. It feels ancient, patient. When she reaches the clearing, she notices the well's glow is softer than it once was, not dimmer, simply calmer, like a hearth that no longer needs to roar to keep a home warm. The shadow presence gathers near her, thinner than before, but more defined. The balance strengthens. It murmurs within her mind. Ellen kneels by the rim of the well and peers inside. The glow rises gently to meet her gaze. It feels aware of her now, not as a source to draw from, but as a partner in something shared. How long will this last? She asks quietly. As long as both sides remember. She breathes in slowly. Memory, that is the heart of it. The village does not remember the old bargain in detail, but they remember hardship. They remember the first winter awake. They remember working side by side to survive the storm, and that memory shapes their choices. The shadow shifts slightly closer. There is another change, it says. Ellen tilts her head. You are not the only one who stands between now and then. She feels a flicker of surprise. What do you mean? Watch. The shadow drifts past her, moving toward the edge of the clearing. Ellen follows with steady steps. At the tree line stands a small figure. It is Tomas, the baker's son. He cannot be more than 8 winters old. His breath forms soft clouds in the air. He stares into the forest with wide, curious eyes. Ellen approaches him quietly. You should not wander this far alone, she says gently. Tomas jumps slightly, then relaxes when he sees her. I wasn't afraid, he replies. I just wanted to see. See what? The place where winter listens, he says. Ellen feels a stillness settle inside her. What makes you think winter listens? She asks. Tomas shrugs. It feels like it does. When I stand here, I feel like something is waiting. Not bad, just waiting. Ellen glances toward the shadows. They remain at a respectful distance. What do you feel when you stand here? She asks him. He thinks carefully, like when I hold my breath before blowing out a candle. A soft understanding moves through her. The boundary is no longer hers alone. The village is beginning to sense it. Go back to your parents, she tells him kindly. They will worry. He nods and turns, trudging back through the snow. Elin watches him until he disappears behind the cottages. The shadow presence drifts closer. Awareness spreads. Elin exhales slowly. I did not want anyone else to carry this, she says. They do not carry the bargain, only the memory of watchfulness. She considers that. Perhaps the strength of the new agreement lies not in secrecy, but in shared instinct. Another winter deepens. The cold this year is sharper than the last. Ice forms thick patterns on the inside of windows. The river groans louder beneath its frozen shell. Supplies run lower than expected. Doubt creeps quietly into the village. Ellen feels it like a faint tremor beneath her feet. One night, as wind rattles shutters and snow sweeps sideways across the square, raised voices echo through the air. They said waking would make us stronger, someone shouts from within a cottage. But this cold feels worse. We never asked for this, another voice replies. Ellen stands at the edge of the forest and listens. The shadow presence gathers beside her. The land tests conviction, it says. Ellen nods slowly. If they begin to regret waking, she asks. The old pattern waits. It never fully vanishes. A flicker of concern moves through her chest. She walks back toward the village square. Lanterns glow behind frosted glass. Snow piles high against doorways. She knocks gently at the cottage where voices were raised. The door opens to reveal Mara, a young mother with tired eyes. Ellen, Mara says softly, "It is cold tonight." "It is," Ellen agrees. They stand together for a moment in the narrow doorway. "You remember the first winter awake," Elin says carefully. Mara nods. "We nearly lost the north roof, but we did not," Ellen replies. "We held it together." Mara studies her face. "You speak as if you stand outside of it." Ellen pauses. "I stand at the edge," she answers truthfully. Mara exhales slowly. "We are tired." "I know," Ellen says. Behind them, a small child begins to cry softly. Mara turns her head toward the sound. "We will endure," Ellen says gently. "This cold is not endless." Mara meets her eyes, searching for certainty. And for a moment, Ellen lets a fraction of the well's steady glow rise within her, not visibly, but in her voice, in her calm. Mara's shoulders relax slightly. "We will endure," she repeats. Ellen steps back into the snow. The wind begins to ease, not because she forces it, not because the shadows demand it, but because something deeper recognizes resolve. At the forest edge, the shadow presence speaks again. The exchange grows lighter. Ellen tilts her head. "Explain." "The villagers generate warmth, not only from dreams, but from effort, from shared burden, from chosen endurance." She feels a quiet understanding settle in. The well no longer relies entirely on her suspended winters. The village itself contributes, not through sleeping tribute, but through living resilience. Years continue their gentle turning. Children grow into adults who never knew enchanted winter sleep. They learn to read the sky for coming storms. They store dried herbs and salted meats. They build larger communal fires in the square on the coldest nights, where stories are shared openly, and slowly a new tradition forms. On the first snowfall of each year, the villagers gather at dusk at the edge of the forest. They do not know precisely why, only that it feels right. They stand quietly together, breathing in the cold air. They listen. Ellen stands among them now, not apart. The shadows linger in the trees, watching. The well pulses steadily beneath the earth. And in that shared stillness, there is no fear, only awareness. The oldest among them sometimes say, "Winter has ears." The children nod solemnly. Ellen closes her eyes during these gatherings and feels the balance holding firm. Her own sacrifice grows lighter with each passing year. The suspended stillness during winter remains, but it no longer drains her deeply. The well draws gently now, like a river sipping from a stream rather than a storm swallowing a sea. One spring morning, many years later, Ellen wakes to birdsong and realizes something new. She feels older, truly older. The suspended winters have grown shorter. She walks to the forest clearing alone and kneels beside the well. The glow within is soft and golden. The shadow presence forms beside her, almost transparent now. The balance is nearly self-sustaining, it says. Ellen rests her hand on the stone rim. "Does that mean I am no longer needed?" she asks. "Needed? Yes. Bound? No." She breathes slowly, letting that settle. "You can release me," she whispers. The glow brightens slightly. The exchange has changed beyond its origin. You altered its course. Ellen smiles faintly. "I was only curious," she says. Curiosity reshapes worlds. The shadows thin further, dispersing like morning mist under sunlight. In the village, bells begin to ring softly to celebrate the first planting of spring. Ellen rises. She feels time fully now, its weight, its gift. When the next winter comes, she still stands at the edge of the forest, but she is no longer suspended outside it. She feels the cold bite her cheeks like everyone else. She feels fatigue when nights stretch long. The well pulses faintly, but it no longer calls to her alone. The village stands watch together, and the shadows, now little more than faint outlines among the trees, no longer gather tribute. They observe, they remember. Winter continues to arrive each year. Snow falls, fires burn, voices echo through the square, but no one sleeps through it. And deep beneath the earth, the well glows softly on its own, sustained by a balance that no longer demands forgetting. Dear listener, let your breath deepen once more. Imagine the village quiet under a gentle snowfall, not silent with enchantment, but softly alive. A baby coos in a warm cottage. A log shifts in a hearth. Wind brushes lightly against sturdy shutters. Feel the calm of something once fragile, now steady. Feel the way change can begin with one curious heart and ripple outward into seasons. You do not need to hold every burden alone. Sometimes simply staying awake is enough to shift the balance. Let that thought rest gently in your mind. The snow continues to fall in slow, soft spirals. The forest stands tall and patient. The well hums in quiet contentment. And you, dear listener, can let your thoughts drift now like flakes settling onto still ground. There is nothing to solve, nothing to bargain, only the steady rhythm of breath, in and out. We will continue now, but even more gently. Years pass in the village, and they do so without hurry. The kind of passing that feels like turning pages in a well-loved book. No sharp corners, no sudden leaps, just the quiet layering of seasons. Ellen grows older in the ordinary way now. Her hands become steadier. Her voice deepens with calm authority. Children who once stood at her side at the forest edge now bring their own children to the first snowfall gathering. And something subtle begins to happen. The well, once bright and urgent, grows faint, not sickly, not failing, simply less central. The village has learned to create its own warmth. One evening, as autumn thins, and the first frost sketches delicate patterns across the windows, Ellen walks again to the clearing. The forest floor is crisp beneath her boots. Leaves crumble softly underfoot. The air smells of pine and distant smoke. She stands at the well and peers inside. The glow is there, but it is small, like a candle nearly burned to its base. The shadow presence forms beside her, but it is no longer tall or imposing. It is wispy, almost translucent. The agreement fades, it says gently. Ellen nods, because it is no longer needed. Yes, she rests both hands on the stone rim and closes her eyes. She remembers the first night she stood here alone. The fear that was not quite fear, the curiosity that refused to dim, the storm that nearly tested everything. She smiles softly. "What will become of you?" she asks the shadow. We return to what we were before the bargain, part of the wind, part of cold, part of memory. "Will you still listen?" she asks. We always listen. A quiet understanding settles over her. The shadows were never purely takers. They were bound by a pattern humans helped create, and now that pattern has dissolved. In the village, bells ring faintly as families prepare for winter. Laughter carries through the trees. Ellen turns from the well and walks back toward the sound. That winter is the gentlest anyone can remember. Snow falls in soft layers. Storms pass without fury. The river freezes, but not thickly enough to groan in protest. Fires burn comfortably, not desperately. And for the first time in many generations, no one feels watched at the forest edge. The villagers still gather at the first snowfall, but now it feels like gratitude rather than vigilance. They stand quietly, breathe the cold air, and return home without fear. Ellen no longer feels the suspended stillness when winter settles. She sleeps deeply at night. She dreams vividly, and when she wakes, she remembers every dream. One dream stays with her longer than the others. She dreams of the well, not glowing but filled with clear water reflecting the sky. She leans over it and sees not darkness below, but her own face, older, peaceful. When she wakes, she knows what she must do. In early spring, when snow recedes and the forest floor grows damp and fragrant, Ellen gathers a few villagers and leads them to the clearing. They have never seen the well before. It stands quietly among the trees, no longer humming with hidden light. "What is this place?" Tomas asks. He is grown now, taller than she is. "It is where winter once listened," Ellen replies. They approach cautiously. The well is ordinary now. Moss creeps along its stones. Meltwater drips slowly into its depth. Ellen kneels and dips a wooden bucket into it. When she draws it up, the water is clear and bright. She takes a sip. It tastes like nothing extraordinary, just cold spring water. But she feels something loosen inside her. She hands the bucket to Tomas. He drinks. One by one, the others drink as well. No glow rises. No shadows gather. The well is simply a well. Ellen stands and brushes damp earth from her hands. "We keep it," she says softly, "not because it demands anything, but because it reminds us of what?" A woman asks gently. Ellen looks around at the circle of familiar faces. That balance is not given, it is chosen. The villagers nod slowly. They do not need the full history. They do not need to know about dreams taken in secret or bargains struck in desperation. They understand enough. The clearing becomes a place of quiet reflection over the years. Children play near it in summer. Couples sit beside it in autumn. In winter, it rests under snow, ordinary and unburdened. Ellen grows old in the way all humans do. Her hair turns silver, her steps slow. Her hands bear fine lines like the rings of a tree. On a calm winter evening, many years later, she sits by her hearth and listens to the soft crackle of firewood. Outside, snow falls gently. The village hums with life. No one sleeps through winter. No shadows move at the edge of sight. She closes her eyes and breathes deeply. In her mind, she sees the clearing once more, the well glowing faintly, the young girl standing brave and curious in the snow. She feels gratitude for that girl, for her stubborn wakefulness, for her quiet courage. Her breathing slows in and out. The wind brushes softly against her cottage walls. A distant laugh echoes through the square. Winter no longer needs tribute. It is simply a season. Ellen exhales one final time, not in fear, not in sacrifice, but in peace. And as her breath leaves her, it feels less like ending and more like joining. Outside, the snow continues to fall. In the forest clearing, the well rests quietly beneath a soft white blanket. And somewhere within the turning of air and memory, there is a whisper of gratitude, not from shadows, not from wells, but from the land itself. Dear listener, feel that softness now, the steadiness of something resolved, the warmth of effort shared. Let your own thoughts grow quiet, like snow settling across a peaceful village. There is nothing watching you, nothing waiting to take. Only rest, only the gentle rhythm of your breath, in and out. If sleep is close now, let it come easily. If you are still drifting at the edge, that is perfectly fine. The story has settled. The winter is kind, and all is calm. Dear listener, let us not close the door just yet. Settle again into the softness beneath you. Feel the quiet weight of the blanket or the air resting gently along your arms. Let your breathing be slow and low, like wind moving through tall grass far away. The snow is still falling in our story. Even after Ellen's last quiet breath, the village does not fall into sorrow all at once. Grief there moves gently, like winter itself. It arrives softly. It sits beside you. It does not shout. In the morning, when the baker opens his shutters and sees the thin ribbon of smoke no longer rising from Ellen's chimney, he feels it first. A pause in the rhythm of the square, a space where something steady used to be. The villagers gather not in panic, but in reverence. They carry her carefully through snow that crunches softly beneath their boots. The air is clear. The sky is pale silver. No storm presses against them. No wind howls in protest. It is a quiet passing. They lay her to rest at the edge of the forest, where the trees begin and the cottages end. The place she stood watched so many winters ago. No one speaks loudly. No one needs to. Children who once clutched their mother's hands during harsh storms now stand tall. They remember her calm voice. They remember the way she would simply stand and look at the horizon, as if listening to something beyond hearing. That evening, as snow drifts down in fine, steady flakes, the village gathers in the square, not out of fear, out of gratitude. A fire is built in the center. Flames rise in slow golden waves. Sparks drift upward and disappear into the dark. Tomas, now older and broad-shouldered, speaks quietly. "She taught us to remain awake," he says. "Not just through winter, through difficulty, through change." The others nod. A child asks, "Was she never afraid?" Tomas smiles faintly. "I think she was, but she stood anyway." The fire crackles softly. Wood shifts and settles. Far at the edge of the trees, something moves. Not a shadow as before, just wind. It passes through branches, lifting a fine mist of snow that glitters briefly in the firelight. And for a moment, several villagers feel something warm brush across their thoughts. Not a voice, not words, just a gentle sense of presence. As if the boundary between forest and village has become nothing more than open air. Winter continues. Days shorten and lengthen in their quiet rhythm. The river freezes and thaws. Crops are planted and harvested. Children grow. The well in the clearing remains simple and clear. Moss thickens along its stones. Birds drink from its rim in summer. Snow fills it in winter and melts again in spring. Years pass. The story of the long-ago sleeping winters becomes softer in detail, but stronger in meaning. It turns into a tale told by hearthlight. Once the elders begin, we believed survival meant closing our eyes. Children lean forward, listening, but someone chose to remain awake. They do not speak of shadows taking dreams. They do not speak of bargains made beneath ancient trees. They speak instead of courage, of curiosity, of choosing to face the cold together. And that is enough. One winter, long after Ellen's passing, a storm unlike any in recent memory rolls across the land. Clouds gather thick and low. Snow falls in heavy sheets. Wind drives it sideways through every crack and seam. The village feels the old fear stirring, not the fear of enchantment, not the fear of unseen takers, but the fear of endurance tested. Families gather close around their hearts. Wood is stacked high. Food is rationed carefully. At the edge of the forest, a small group stands in the storm, not because they are required to, because it feels right. Tomas stands among them. His hair is streaked with gray now. Beside him stands a young girl with sharp eyes and a steady gaze. "What are we listening for?" she asks, raising her voice slightly above the wind. "For balance," Tomas replies. The wind roars for a time. Snow blinds the path between forest and square. The storm presses hard, and then, slowly, it begins to ease. Not instantly, not dramatically, but enough. Enough for breath to steady. Enough for roofs to hold. enough for the morning to come without devastation. The young girl turns toward Tomas. Did we do that? He shakes his head gently. We endured that. There is a difference, and that difference is everything. Spring returns, as it always does. It arrives not as a conqueror, but as a patient visitor. Ice loosens its grip. The river cracks open. Buds swell on tree branches. At the forest clearing, the well fills with fresh mill water. Sunlight reflects off its surface in bright, trembling patterns. One afternoon, the young girl from the storm wanders there alone. She kneels beside the well and looks into its clear depths. For a moment, she thinks she sees something flicker. Not light, not shadow, just a ripple. She leans closer. The ripple fades. She smiles softly. "Thank you," she whispers, though she does not know exactly who she is thanking. The forest stands quiet around her. A breeze moves gently through the leaves. Somewhere deep beneath the earth, there is no pulse demanding tribute. There is only steady ground. Seasons continue their endless turning. The village thrives not because winter has become gentle, but because they have. They repair what breaks. They share what is scarce. They remain present through difficulty instead of surrendering to it. And sometimes, on the first snowfall of each year, when flakes drift slowly through still air, someone will pause at the forest edge and feel something familiar. Not a watcher, not a taker, just a memory of standing firm. Dear listener, let that image settle softly in your mind. A village breathing together in cold air, a forest no longer feared, a well reflecting open sky, and a single choice made long ago, echoing quietly through generations. Feel your own breath now, in and out. Perhaps there are winters in your life that once felt too heavy to face. Perhaps there were moments when sleep seemed easier than wakefulness, and yet here you are, awake, listening, enduring in your own quiet way. Let that be enough tonight. The snow in this story continues to fall gently, but it no longer carries hunger. The fire in the square burns steady, not desperate. The forest hums with simple life, and somewhere, woven into wind and memory, there is a softness that feels like gratitude. Not loud, not dramatic, just steady. Let your thoughts slow further now. Imagine snow settling over rooftops. Imagine the soft crackle of a hearth. Imagine a boundary, once sharp, now open and calm. There is no bargain required of you, no tribute, only rest, only the steady turning of breath. If sleep comes, let it come like snowfall, light, unforced, certain. The village rests awake beneath the winter sky, and you, dear listener, can rest too. All is quiet, all is balanced, all is well. We return now to the village. Years have passed since Ellen's quiet departure, and yet her presence lingers not as a ghost, not as a shadow, but as a way of being. Winter arrives again, as it always does. The first snowfall comes at dusk. Flakes drift lazily from a sky the color of pale smoke. Children run into the square with mittened hands outstretched, laughing as the snow gathers in their palms. Parents call them back inside before the cold deepens. At the forest's edge, a small group gathers without being asked. They do not call it ritual. They do not call it a watch. They simply stand. The trees are tall and dark against the fading light. The air smells clean and faintly metallic, like snow before it settles. Among them stands the young girl who once knelt at the well. She is older now. Her name is Lysa. Her eyes are steady in the same quiet way Ellen's once were. She does not know the full history, only fragments passed down in softened stories. But as the first true snow settles on her shoulders, she feels something. Not fear, not an obligation, just awareness. The forest is no longer a boundary. It is simply a forest. The village is no longer sheltered by enchantment. It is sustained by effort. Still, Lysa closes her eyes and listens. For a moment, the wind shifts. It moves through branches with a low murmur. Snow loosens and falls in delicate sighs. The sound is almost like breath and out. When she opens her eyes, she notices something unusual at the base of the tallest pine near the clearing. A faint indentation in the snow, as if something once stood there often. She steps closer. The indentation is shallow, almost already disappearing beneath fresh flakes. It could be nothing more than a trick of wind. Yet she kneels and places her gloved hand there. The snow feels slightly warmer than the rest. Not hot, not glowing, just touched. Behind her, Tomas clears his throat gently. "Time to head back," he says. "The temperature will drop fast tonight." Lysa nods. As they walk back toward the cottages, lantern light flickers in windows. Smoke rises steadily from chimneys. The smell of stew and wood fire fills the air. Inside her home, Lysa sits by the hearth while her grandmother knits quietly. "Do you think winter listens?" Lysa asks softly. Her grandmother smiles without looking up. "Winter does not listen," she replies, "but we do." Lysa considers that. Later that night, as she lies beneath thick quilts, she cannot sleep right away. Not from fear, from curiosity. The snow outside reflects faint moonlight into her room. The shadows cast by the window frame stretch long and still. She closes her eyes and dreams. In her dream, she stands in the forest clearing. The well is there, but it is different. It is filled to the brim with clear water reflecting stars. The sky above it is wide and endless. She leans over the rim and sees not her own face, but many faces, generations layered like reflections in glass. None are trapped, none are dim. They are simply watching. She wakes before dawn, her heart calm. The next day, she walks alone to the clearing. Snow crunches lightly beneath her boots. The forest is hushed but not heavy. Birds flit between branches, scattering tiny avalanches of powder. When she reaches the well, she finds it exactly as it has been for years. Moss along the stones, ice forming thin lace across the surface. She brushes the ice aside and peers in water, clear, still. She leans closer. For a moment, she thinks she sees a faint ripple. But when she blinks, it is gone. She sits beside the well and lets her breathing slow in and out. The air feels neither cold nor warm, just a present. "Thank you," she whispers, though she is not certain to whom. A breeze moves gently through the clearing, and then she feels it. Not a voice, not a shadow, a memory. The sense of standing at the edge of something unknown and choosing to remain awake. It does not belong only to Ellen anymore. It belongs to anyone who feels it. That winter is long but manageable. No storms test the roofs beyond repair. No supplies run dry. The villagers move through cold days with practiced hands and shared labor. But something subtle shifts. The first snowfall gathering grows larger, not from fear, from appreciation. People begin bringing small lanterns to the forest edge. They place them carefully in the snow, forming a gentle arc of light facing the trees. No one explains why. It simply feels right. The lanterns glow warmly against the dark trunks. The forest stands silent, no longer watching, no longer taking, just existing. Lysa stands among the lights, her breath visible in the crisp air. She closes her eyes again, and this time she does not listen for anything beyond herself. She listens to her own breath, to the steady beat of her heart, to the quiet murmur of neighbors shifting in the snow beside her. When she opens her eyes, she understands something simple. The bargain was never truly about shadows. It was about how humans meet winter, with sleep or with wakefulness. And wakefulness does not mean fear, it means presence. Years continue to fold gently over the village. Children are born who never hear the old stories in detail. They only know that when snow falls, they gather. They light lanterns. They stand quietly at the forest's edge before returning home to warm fires. The well becomes a place for reflection in all seasons. Couples toss small wreaths of wildflowers into it during spring festivals. In summer, Children drop pebbles and count the seconds before they hear the splash. No glow rises from its depths. No shadows gather. Balance has become ordinary. And ordinary, dear listener, is often the most magical state of all. One winter evening, many decades after Ellen first stood alone in the snow, Lysa, now grown with silver threaded through her hair, returns to the clearing once more. She moves slowly but steadily. The snow falls in wide, lazy flakes. The forest is calm. She stands at the well and places both hands on its rim. "I think we're all awake now," she says softly. The wind stirs just slightly. She smiles. Behind her, faint laughter drifts from the village square where children are sliding across packed snow, their joy sharp and bright against the quiet night. Lysa closes her eyes, and for just a moment she feels as though someone stands beside her, not casting a shadow, not demanding tribute, simply sharing the stillness. She does not open her eyes to check. She does not need to, because the boundary is gone. There is no edge between forest and village now. No line between watcher and watched. Only land, only season, only people choosing again and again to remain present. Dear listener, let your breath soften once more. Imagine the lanterns glowing at the forest edge. Imagine the well reflecting starlight. Imagine snow settling over rooftops without fear. Feel how calm it is when nothing is owed, when nothing is hidden, when balance rests easily in ordinary hands. Let your thoughts drift now like flakes falling through quiet air. You do not need to guard anything tonight. You do not need to bargain. You do not need to stay awake unless you wish to. The village continues, steady and warm. The forest stands peaceful. The well rests clear and simple beneath the sky. And you, dear listener, can rest too, in and out. All is quiet. All is balanced. All is well. Dear listener, let's settle in once more. Let your body sink into the softness beneath you. Take a slow, deliberate breath in and out. Feel the weight of your limbs, the gentle rise of your chest, the quiet space around you. Let your mind rest here for a moment in this stillness. You are safe. You are calm. You are awake only in curiosity, not urgency. Our story resumes in the village beneath the first soft layers of winter snow. Ellen stands at the edge of the clearing again, older now, but still with a quiet spark in her eyes. The snow drifts in gentle swirls around her boots, brushing softly against the hem of her cloak. Each flake settles without sound, like whispers across the frozen ground. The forest beyond remains still, patient, watching, but no longer hungry. In the village, lights flicker faintly in the windows. Smoke curls lazily from chimneys into the cold night sky. There is a rhythm to the small sounds, the tap of a boot on a doorstep, the faint creak of a shutter, the muffled laughter of children playing near the edge of the square. Ellen breathes slowly, in and out. She senses that even though the shadow presence no longer demands tribute, its echo lingers, not threatening, not pressing, merely present, like the faint memory of a storm that has long since passed. Tonight, the village will feel the first serious test of this new balance. A cold front moves in from the northern hills. Wind presses against the rooftops. Snow begins to fall in heavier sheets, layered now in quiet, steady rhythm. Ellen walks among the cottages, gently nudging a child back toward warmth, guiding a woman carrying wood across the square. Every movement is slow, deliberate, careful, in and out. As she moves, she notices subtle changes in the snow patterns near the forest. Tiny swirls of wind lift flakes just above the ground, forming small spirals, almost like the echo of movement unseen. Ellen's heartbeat slows as she watches. These are not shadows, exactly, but the forest is alive, aware of her, aware of the village. She reaches the well at the clearing. Its stones are cold under her gloved hands, moss soft beneath her fingertips. She leans over the rim, peering into the clear, still water. Her reflection is sharp, yet fractured by the faint ripples of wind brushing across the surface. She inhales slowly, in and out. A whisper of wind lifts a few loose strands of hair across her face. She brushes them away. She feels the old pulse of vigilance beneath her skin, the memory of years when the bargain demanded her constant attention. But that pulse is calm now, steady, not a warning, not a call to arms, just awareness. From the village square, she hears the soft murmur of voices, families checking on each other, ensuring no one is left cold or hungry. She watches a small group of children attempting to make a snow fort near the lamplight. They stumble and laugh, snow crunching under boots, cheeks pinked by cold. In and out. Let your own chest rise and fall in time with the quiet rhythm of this village night. Imagine the snow swirling outside, flakes catching lantern light like tiny stars suspended in mid-air. The wind shifts again. A faint sound reaches her ears, the subtle groan of frozen wood, the delicate crackle of snow settling on rooftops. Ellen closes her eyes briefly, letting these sounds wrap around her. She can feel the village breathing beneath the weight of winter. She can feel it enduring. A sudden gust stirs the edge of the forest. Tiny snow-laden branches scrape against each other, creating the softest music, almost like the strings of a distant harp. Ellen watches the shapes in the snow, the spirals and small ridges, and feels the quiet pulse of the forest aligning with the pulse of the village. In this moment, she remembers the first winter she stood awake, the fear, the loneliness, the unknown shapes flitting in shadow, and she smiles faintly. Those fears no longer dictate her steps. She walks the clearing once more, brushing snow lightly from the stones of the well, letting her fingers trace its edges. Even in this winter storm, the village thrives. Lanterns are lit, fires burn, families gather, sharing meals and stories, careful not to leave any home empty of warmth. Their footsteps form quiet patterns on packed snow, the sound muffled yet steady. In and out, let your mind drift with the rhythm of their endurance. Suddenly, a child stumbles on the frozen edge of the well. Ellen catches them gently by the arm. "Careful," she whispers, her voice soft as snow, landing on the ground. The child nods, eyes wide, cheeks flushed, and steps back carefully. Ellen leans back, letting the night air brush her face. The storm intensifies slightly, wind pressing through the clearing, yet it carries no threat. She senses that the balance is holding village and forest, snow and stone, human and season. And within that balance is something she did not have before: trust. The night grows deeper. Lanterns glow faintly in cottages. The river beyond the forest murmurs beneath a thin layer of ice. The shadows of trees stretch long across the snow, creating soft patterns that dance with each breath of wind. Ellen sits beside the well for a moment, hands resting lightly on her knees. In and out, she lets her own breath slow. She listens to the village breathing through the night, to the forest sighing in snow-laden wind, to the river whispering beneath ice. In the quiet, a subtle realization forms. Winter is no longer a test of endurance imposed by magic or shadows. It is a reflection of the choices of those who face it awake. The village thrives because they endure together. The children play because curiosity outweighs fear. And she, Ellen, can finally rest into the night, knowing her vigilance has passed into shared awareness. In and out, dear listener, let your own breathing fall in rhythm with hers. Let the wind brushing over branches, the soft crunch of snow beneath boots, the quiet laughter from the square wrap around your mind like a warm blanket. The village sleeps lightly, now not through magic, but through trust. And that trust hums softly through the bones of the land, steady as the river beneath ice, gentle as snow settling on the forest floor. Tonight, the forest waits, not for fear, not for tribute, only to witness, only to exist. And the well reflects the stars, clear and still, without glow or shadow. Ellen rises slowly, brushing snow from her cloak, and walks back toward the village. Each step presses softly into the snow, leaving fleeting impressions that the next snowfall will smooth away. She moves with calm, with care, with a quiet smile, and as she returns to warmth, we pause for a moment, dear listener. Let your own mind drift with her. Let your body sink deeper into softness. Let your breathing follow the steady rhythm of snow falling on a quiet village, in and out. The night stretches, calm and gentle. The village endures. The forest watches without expectation. And you may rest here in this quiet rhythm, letting the story and the snow and the stillness carry you gently towards sleep. Dear listener, take a slow, calming breath in and out. Let your shoulders relax. Let your body sink into comfort, letting your mind drift like snowflakes settling on the village rooftops. Tonight, we watch the seasons turn slowly, peacefully, as generations live within this quiet world. Years pass, and the village grows in ways both subtle and enduring. Children who once ran across snow-covered squares now grow taller. Their laughter still drifts through the air, soft as wind through pine needles. Families gather at hearths with steady warmth, sharing quiet conversation. The smell of baked bread, roasted roots, and warm stew filling every cottage. The rhythm of life is gentle, deliberate, a slow turning of days and nights. Ellen, now older and taller in presence than in years, walks the village paths with calm certainty. In and out, she lets each breath stretch long, like the trail of smoke from a chimney curling into winter's pale sky. She watches the villagers move with purpose, small acts of care, a door closed against the wind, a lantern lifted above a frozen stream, a scarf tied snugly around a child's neck. These small movements are the new magic, the work of a community awake and aware. The first snowfall of the season comes gradually, not sudden or harsh. Flakes drift lazily, melting briefly on cheeks before settling again. Children chase them, laughing, stamping snow into playful heaps, their mittens dusted in white. Ellen pauses at the edge of the square, watching them. She inhales, in and out, letting the stillness of the forest beyond the cottages brush against her mind like a soft current. And then she notices the old patterns beginning to form. Not shadows, exactly, but movements in the snow at the forest's edge. Tiny swirls that seem deliberate, as if the forest itself is testing or perhaps welcoming those who pass near. She kneels, brushing her gloved fingers through the soft snow. The patterns vanish as quickly as they appear, leaving no trace but a sense of quiet presence. Years have taught the village patience, and patience has taught them endurance. With each winter, they face the storms together. Fires burn steadily in communal halls. Meals are shared. Children are taught to understand the rhythm of snow and wind, learning that being awake does not mean being alone, nor does it require fear. In and out, dear listener, let your breath slow with them, steady and calm. Let your mind drift like the snow settling across frozen rooftops. Rituals emerge naturally. Every first snowfall, the villagers gather at the edge of the forest. Lanterns are placed carefully in the snow, forming arcs of soft light. Families stand side by side, letting the glow of each lamp mingle with the pale winter light. No words are needed. The act itself speaks: awareness, endurance, presence. Ellen watches these gatherings closely, teaching quietly without instructing. She shows how to notice the small things, how wind shapes snow into gentle ridges, how ice on tree branches glints in the softest light, how the forest whispers in patterns that can only be felt, not heard. Her eyes sweep the village square, noting each child's careful step, each adult's steady posture. She breathes in and out, letting her own awareness merge with theirs. One winter, the village faces its first truly heavy storm since Ellen's first winter awake. Snow falls thick and fast, drifts piling against doorways, the wind bending trees under its weight. The villagers move slowly but steadily, securing roofs, checking each home, sharing warmth where needed. Ellen moves among them, a calm presence, her steps deliberate, her hands steady. In and out. Let your own chest rise and fall in rhythm with hers, steady and unhurried. During the storm, the forest seems to hold its breath. Branches bow under snow, creaking faintly, yet no shadows appear, only the whisper of the wind, the settling of snow, and the faint, steady heartbeat of a village enduring together. Ellen pauses at the edge of the clearing, placing her hand on the well. The water beneath the ice is clear, still. She breathes slowly, letting the cold seep in, letting the quiet spread through her body. The storm passes without harm. Morning comes, pale and luminous, snow reflecting the soft light of dawn. Villagers emerge carefully, brushing snow from cloaks and boots, their laughter quiet but joyful. The children play, the adults smile, and the square is alive with gentle movement. The village has endured, awake and alert, without the aid of any magical bargain. In the weeks that follow, Ellen notices a subtle shift. The children who grew up during these winters are beginning to understand the forest's quiet rhythms on their own. They do not fear, they do not tremble at unknown shapes in snow or shadow. Instead, and in that noticing, they carry the old vigilance forward, not as fear, but as awareness. She guides them gently, showing them how to place lanterns, how to step carefully over frozen streams, how to listen to the wind brushing through branches, in and out. Dear listener, let your own breath slow and deepen, matching the calm and deliberate pace of the village's winter. Let your mind imagine each flake of snow, each shadow of branch, each flicker of lantern light. Generations begin to emerge in this rhythm. Children grow into adults who remember the lessons softly, who teach their own children the quiet practices of the first snowfall. Each winter, the village stands awake, aware and unafraid. The well in the clearing becomes a place for reflection and remembrance. Moss thickens along its stones. Water remains clear beneath the ice. No glow rises, no shadows gather, only stillness. One evening, many years later, a young girl named Lysa arrives at the clearing. Her eyes are wide, full of curiosity, yet steady in calm determination. She kneels by the well, running her fingers along the mossed stone. In and out, she feels the pulse of the village, the rhythm of generations who have endured awake. She breathes slowly, letting herself sink into this quiet lineage of awareness. Lysa does not speak immediately. She closes her eyes, listening to the snow settling, to the faint murmur of the river beneath its thin layer of ice, to the distant laughter of children playing in the village square. She inhales in and exhales, letting the calm settle into every part of her body. The forest beyond the clearing stands still, patient, alive in its own quiet way. Lysa feels its presence not as threat, but as companion, a witness to the cycles of endurance, growth, and awareness that have defined the village for decades. She smiles faintly, feeling the continuity of all who came before her. Ellen, Tomas, the villagers who learned to face winter awake. As night deepens, lanterns glow along the edge of the forest. Children's laughter softens, blending with the wind in branches and the faint creak of frozen wood. Lysa rises from the well, brushing snow lightly from her cloak, and begins the walk back toward warmth. Each step is careful, measured, a reflection of the calm awareness that guides the village. In and out, dear listener, let your own breath follow the rhythm of her steps, slow and steady, gentle as snow drifting over rooftops. Let your mind picture the lanterns, the clear well, the quiet forest, and the village enduring together. Let the calm and the stillness wrap around you, carrying you further into the softness of winter night. Tonight, the village is awake, aware, and unafraid. The forest stands as witness. The well reflects nothing but stars and quiet sky. and you, dear listener, may drift with it, letting the story, the snow, and the gentle rhythm of breath carry you deeper into peaceful rest. Dear listener, take a slow, calming breath in and out. Feel the weight of your body sink gently into comfort, letting your mind wander freely among the soft snow and whispering trees of our village. Tonight, the story moves deeper into the quiet life of those who have learned to face winter awake with patience, awareness, and gentle courage. Ellen, now older, walks slowly through the snow-dusted paths of the village. Her hair is streaked with silver, the lines of years etched softly across her face, but her presence remains steady, calm, deliberate. In and out, she lets her chest rise and fall, attuned to the rhythm of the quiet village. Each breath carries warmth through her body, a mirror of the small hearth fires that glow softly in the cottages. The children she once guided are now grown, their voices carrying the steady calm she taught them. But new children have arrived in the village, bright-eyed, curious, ready to learn the ways of winter. Ellen meets them at the clearing by the forest, where the well sits quietly beneath a soft layer of snow. She kneels beside the well, brushing away light frost from the moss-covered stones. In and out, she feels the pulse of the place, faint but steady, like a heartbeat beneath ice. She watches the children approach, hesitant yet eager. Their eyes widen at the still water, reflecting the pale winter sky above. "Do we have to be quiet?" one child whispers. Ellen smiles gently. Quiet helps us notice. Not everything has a voice, but everything has presence. In and out, let your breath follow the rhythm of the snow and wind. She watches as they inhale and exhale slowly, just as she does, letting the stillness of the forest fill them. The clearing has become a place of reflection, a sanctuary where the village meets the forest without fear. Lanterns glow softly at its edges, casting a gentle warmth on the snow. Branches overhead creak softly in the wind, tiny flakes drifting down in slow spirals. In and out, let your own mind drift with the snowflakes, floating quietly to the ground. Ellen guides the children to the edge of the well. "Look closely," she whispers. "See how the water mirrors the sky. That is how we reflect the world around us. Be aware of what surrounds you. Listen to what is not spoken. Feel what is not seen." The children lean over the edge, their reflections mingling with the faint ripple of the water. In and out, the rhythm of breath slows naturally as the quiet settles over them. They do not speak, they do not move hastily. They simply notice, learning the subtle language of presence. The forest beyond the clearing waits, patient and unhurried. Ellen rises, brushing snow lightly from her cloak. She walks among the trees, the crunch of her boots soft against the snow-covered ground. Tiny animal tracks intersect her path, evidence of life continuing quietly beyond human awareness. In and out, let your own mind trace these footprints, gentle and small, leaving no imprint on the larger world. As days pass, Ellen spends hours with the children, teaching them not just about survival, but about stillness. How to notice the way snow gathers in spirals along fences. How the wind shifts and bends branches. How the river murmurs beneath a thin crust of ice. In and out, each lesson is a meditation, a slow, deliberate breathing in tune with the village, the forest, and the season itself. Winter deepens. Snow blankets the rooftops and squares. Fires burn steadily in each home, casting gentle shadows that sway and shimmer against the walls. In the distance, children's laughter echoes faintly, carried on the wind, blending with the soft creak of trees and the subtle murmur of the frozen river. Ellen often sits by the well in the evening alone, tracing the rim of the moss-covered stone with her gloved fingers. In and out, she lets her mind wander along the paths of memory. The first winter she stood awake, the shadow shapes that once moved unseen, the years of learning, teaching, and enduring. She feels gratitude settle like a soft snow over her chest, quiet and deep. Sometimes she closes her eyes, imagining the generations of villagers who have come and gone. Children she taught are now teaching their own. Families gathering at the forest's edge, lanterns glowing softly, reflections shimmering in the well's water. In and out, let your own breath follow this rhythm, slow and steady, letting the quiet settle into your mind like snow upon rooftops. The village thrives not because of magic or shadows, but because of awareness. Each winter, they stand together at the forest edge, place their lanterns in arcs of light, and breathe slowly. In and out, the act itself is enough. It keeps fear at bay, builds resilience, and strengthens the bonds of those who endure awake. One particularly still evening, as snow drifts lazily from the sky, Ellen walks the square alone. Lanterns glow softly along fences, smoke curls gently from chimneys, and distant voices hum quietly in the night. She stops at a small cottage and listens to the rhythm of life within, a child's soft breathing, the low crackle of the fire, the gentle shuffle of feet across the floor. In and out, she matches her breath to the quiet heartbeat of the village. The forest beyond the clearing is calm, the snow thick on branches, but bending gently. No shadows linger, no mysterious forms move unseen. Only life continues, steady and unhurried, as it has for generations. In and out, dear listener, let your mind drift through this calm, steady rhythm, feeling the quiet pulse of the village, the forest, and the snow around you. Ellen kneels once more by the well, watching the reflections of stars faintly mirrored in the clear water. She smiles softly. This place, these people, this rhythm, it is her life's work, her quiet legacy. In and out, she feels it sink into her body like the warmth of a hearth after a long walk through cold snow. She rises, brushing snow from her cloak, and slowly walks back toward the village. Lanterns flicker along the paths, guiding her home. She moves deliberately, savoring each soft crunch beneath her boots, each gust of wind brushing her face, each whisper of snow settling on branches. In the village, families sleep lightly, fires burning low, hearts steady. The forest stands as witness, patient and silent. The well remains clear, simple, and still. And dear listener, let your own breath slow in and out, letting the calm of this winter night, the quiet endurance of the village, and the gentle rhythm of snow falling carry you deeper into rest. All is peaceful, all is steady, all is well. Dear listener, take a deep, slow breath in and out. Let your shoulders relax, your body sink further into comfort. Imagine the snow outside, drifting softly over rooftops, brushing against tree branches, settling quietly in every corner. Tonight, the village faces a winter unlike any they've known before, and we will follow each careful, deliberate step with soft, slow breath. Ellen walks through the village at dusk. Snow falls in wide, slow flakes, settling gently on cloaks, roofs, and lanterns. The wind presses faintly against buildings, a reminder that even in this village of awareness, winter still has strength. In and out, she breathes, letting the rhythm of the snow guide her steps. The villagers sense it first as a hush. Animals move more quietly in the forest. The river beneath the ice murmurs softly, slower than usual, as though holding its breath. Smoke rises from chimneys, but the usual warmth feels thinner, carried away by an unseen chill. In and out, let your own chest rise and fall with this subtle rhythm, calm and steady. Ellen notices it. The snow has drifted differently, hears small ridges and spirals that do not match the wind's usual patterns. She kneels, brushing a gloved hand through the powder. In and out, she feels the pulse of the forest beneath her fingertips, patient, alert, aware. It is not threatening, it is testing. Families begin to sense the change in subtle ways. Children hesitate in play, stopping mid-laughter to watch the trees sway against the wind. Adults pause when they hear the faint creak of snow-heavy branches, sharing knowing glances. Lanterns are lit early, fires stoked higher, blankets layered more carefully. The village moves deliberately, aware. Ellen gathers the children at the clearing by the well. This winter may ask more of us, she whispers, her voice soft but steady. In and out, breathe slowly. Let the snow, the wind, and the quiet guide you. Notice everything around you, and do not hurry. She watches as they inhale, exhale, letting their bodies mirror the stillness and alertness she teaches. The storm arrives quietly at first. Snow drifts sideways with the wind, settling in thick blankets over the square rooftops and paths. Ice forms along the river, cracking faintly as it shifts beneath the frozen surface. In and out, dear listener, feel your breath move slowly with the snow, soft and steady. The village responds in a calm, coordinated rhythm. Villagers check homes carefully, ensuring warmth reaches every room. Lanterns are placed along paths, and at the forest's edge, arcs of gentle light against the growing white. Children follow elders closely, learning to step carefully, to notice the subtle movements of snow and ice. In and out, let your own awareness follow this rhythm, soft and observant. Ellen walks among them, steady and deliberate. She notices a small group of children hesitating near a frozen stream. She kneels beside them. Step carefully, she whispers. Let your eyes guide your feet. In and out, breathe with the rhythm of the forest, and the snow will guide you safely. The children inhale and exhale, matching her breath, and cross the ice slowly, deliberately, safely. As night deepens, the storm grows heavier. Snow piles against doors, drifts swirl across the square, and wind presses against cottages with gentle persistence. The forest leans into the storm, branches bending but holding, snow gathering in soft heaps along trunks. In and out, dear listener, let your breath follow this quiet persistence, soft and steady. Inside the village, families gather by fires, sharing meals of root vegetables, baked bread, and warm broth. The glow of lanterns mixes with the soft flicker of hearth flames, creating a cocoon of warmth. Children sit close to adults, listening to quiet stories of past winters, learning the rhythm of endurance without fear. In and out, feel your own chest rise and fall with the calm heartbeat of this warm, safe space. Ellen returns to the clearing, kneeling by the well. She watches the snow settle across the mossed stones, the reflection of faint stars trembling in the clear water beneath ice. In and out, she breathes with the rhythm of the village, the rhythm of winter, letting calm anchor her through the storm. The night is long, but the village endures. Lanterns flicker, fires burn low but steady, and the villagers move with careful awareness. Even the children, who once ran without thought, now step with intention, noticing every detail: the swirl of snow on a branch, the glint of ice, the soft pattern of footsteps across the square. By morning, the storm eases. Snow settles into deep, smooth drifts. Ice clings to branches and rooftops, glittering faintly in the pale winter sun. The village emerges slowly, stepping carefully, checking each home, brushing snow from doors and pathways. In and out, dear listener, let your breath follow the gentle emergence of light and movement after the storm. Ellen stands at the clearing, watching children place lanterns at the forest edge. The arcs of light shine softly in the thick snow, reflecting in the clear water of the well. She smiles faintly, feeling a quiet sense of pride and relief. In and out, she matches her breath to the rhythm of the village, to the soft heartbeat of snow and wind, letting calm settle deeply. The storm tested them, but the village endured. Awareness, presence, and careful attention were enough. No shadows came to take more than the snow had already claimed. No magic intervened. Only the steady, deliberate rhythm of people facing winter awake. Ellen watches the children, now confident in their movements, stepping lightly across snow-packed paths. They laugh quietly, careful not to disturb the stillness, and she feels a sense of continuity. In and out, dear listener, let your own chest rise and fall in harmony with this rhythm, letting the gentle snow, lantern light, and calm forest fill your mind. As night falls again, Ellen kneels by the well, brushing snow from the rim. She closes her eyes, inhaling slowly, in and out, feeling the pulse of the village, the forest, the snow. This is endurance, awareness, presence. This is what it means to face winter awake. She rises, brushing her cloak lightly, and walks back toward the village. Lanterns glow softly along the paths, fires flicker in windows, and the forest stands still, patient and silent. The well reflects only stars and quiet sky. And dear listener, let your own breath slow in and out, letting the calm of this winter night, the gentle rhythm of snow falling, and the soft endurance of the village carry you further into rest, deeper into peaceful, hypnotic calm. Dear listener, take a slow, deliberate breath. In and out, feel the softness beneath you, the quiet around you, and the gentle rhythm of snow falling somewhere far away. Tonight, the story drifts to a new guardian, a child who grows into awareness and quiet courage, carrying forward the legacy of vigilance, presence, and calm. Lysa steps into the clearing for the first time, fully aware of her purpose. Her boots leave soft prints in the snow, fleeting impressions that the next snowfall will smooth away. Lanterns glow faintly along the edge of the forest, casting gentle arcs of warm light onto the white, still ground. The wind brushes softly through pine branches, carrying the scent of winter and frozen earth. In and out, dear listener, let your breath fall into the same soft rhythm. She kneels by the well, brushing her gloved fingers across the smooth stones, feeling the subtle pulse of the water beneath the ice. Not a glow, not a shadow, just stillness, quiet presence, and the reflection of stars above. She leans closer and breathes in and out, imagining herself as part of this calm rhythm, connected to every step the village takes in winter. Ellen stands nearby, watching. She does not instruct, but observes with gentle care, letting Lysa discover the language of presence herself. In and out, she feels the warmth of the village settle into her bones, the rhythm of winter's endured awake, echoing softly through her chest. Do you feel it? Lysa whispers, barely moving her lips. The forest, the snow, the well, it's like it's breathing. Ellen smiles faintly. Yes, she says softly, and when you notice it, you are breathing with it too. In and out, let your awareness flow with the rhythm of everything around you. Let the snow, the wind, the trees, and the village guide you. Together, they move slowly among the lanterns, careful not to disturb the soft patterns of snow. Lysa notices the subtle swirls of wind pressing against the tree trunks, the tiny ridges formed where snow collects in spirals along branches. Every detail feels alive, waiting to be noticed, and she lets her breath slow in and out, matching the rhythm of the quiet world. The forest beyond the clearing seems almost to exhale as they step closer. No shadows move unseen. No unknown shapes stir in the snow. Only presence, patient and gentle, a quiet teacher waiting for those who will notice. Lysa kneels and runs her fingers along a frozen branch, feeling the cold, the rough texture of bark beneath ice, the subtle tremor of life that persists beneath winter's stillness. Every winter will teach you something, Ellen murmurs. Some winters are gentle, some test your awareness, but every winter rewards those who notice. In and out, breathe slowly, and let the world show you its quiet lessons. A faint crunch draws Lysa's attention. A small fox emerges at the forest's edge, its paws pressing lightly against the snow. It pauses, studying her with bright, steady eyes. In and out, she inhales softly, letting her heart beat slow, letting her awareness expand to include this small, living presence. The fox tilts its head, sniffs the air, and moves away into the forest, leaving no trace but a whisper of motion in the snow. The village beyond the clearing hums softly with life. Fires burn low in cottages, lanterns glow along paths, and families move deliberately, tending to warmth, food, and each other. Children who have grown accustomed to winter's rhythm play carefully, stepping over ice patches, brushing snow from cloaks, following elders' gentle guidance. In and out, dear listener, let your chest rise and fall with this rhythm, slow and steady, soft as snow settling on the ground. Night deepens, and the first snowfall of the season thickens. Snowflakes drift lazily, settling on tree branches, rooftops, and lanterns. Lysa pauses to notice the patterns, the spirals where wind meets snow, the small ridges along fences, the way light glints off ice. In and out, she lets her awareness sink into these subtle movements, letting calm settle fully in her body and mind. Ellen kneels beside the well once more, brushing snow from its rim. She watches Lysa observe, feeling a quiet satisfaction. Years of vigilance, of teaching without imposing, have carried the village to this moment. Presence has replaced fear. Awareness has replaced obligation. In and out, she lets her own breath slow with the rhythm of the snow, the lanterns, and the forest beyond. Lysa rises and walks the edge of the clearing. Her hands brush lightly against tree trunks, feeling bark beneath the frost. She notices the small details, the way the wind lifts a few flakes into spirals, the subtle creak of frozen branches, the faint shimmer of ice along the river. She breathes in and out, letting every detail sink into her awareness. Tonight, we learn to move with winter, Ellen whispers, not against it, not fearful of it, but in rhythm with it. In and out, let your body, your breath, your mind follow the gentle flow of everything around you. The village endures, awake and aware. Lanterns glow along snow-covered paths. Fires burn low but steady. The forest observes patiently, teaching its quiet lessons to those who notice. The well remains clear, reflecting stars above and the steady presence of generations past. Lysa kneels once more, placing her hand lightly on the ice. She breathes in and out, feeling the pulse of the village, the rhythm of the forest, the gentle heartbeat of snow settling quietly everywhere. She understands fully that presence and awareness are the true magic. Tonight, dear listener, let your own breath match theirs. In and out, let the rhythm of the forest, the snow, and the village settle into you. Let every flake, every lantern, every quiet step carry calm through your body and mind. The world is steady. The village endures. The forest watches. And you may rest here, letting the story, the snow, and the gentle rhythm of awareness carry you deeper into a peaceful, hypnotic calm. Dear listener, take a slow, deep breath. Imagine the village beneath a blanket of snow, lanterns glowing softly, and wind brushing through silent trees. Tonight, we explore the subtle magic of noticing, of breathing in harmony with the world around us. Lanterns are hung along fences, arcs of soft light tracing gentle paths through the snow-covered square. Families move deliberately, carrying firewood and gathering supplies, their movements careful but unhurried, in and out. Dear listener, let your own breath match their calm rhythm, slow and steady. Snow drifts lazily around their boots, brushing the hems of cloaks and scarves, in and out. Let your mind trace these soft movements, feeling the gentle pulse of life beneath the snow. The ritual begins without words, in and out. Feel your chest rise and fall with the rhythm of this quiet gathering. Ellen kneels beside the well, brushing snow lightly from its mossed stones. Observe, she whispers, voice soft as snow falling on rooftops. The faint shimmer of ice-catching lantern light, the soft creak of frozen branches overhead. Each observation is gentle, deliberate, a meditation in presence. The glint of frost on tree branches, the soft shimmer of the river beneath ice. In and out, let your breath mirror their calm awareness, steady and relaxed. The wind shifts, carrying faint whispers of the forest. Snow lifts into gentle spirals, dancing above the ground, catching faint glimmers of lantern light. Elin and Lysa watch silently, letting their awareness expand to include every movement, every subtle sound, in and out. Imagine yourself here, noticing every gentle swirl of snow, every faint creak of frozen wood. In and out. Let your own awareness settle gently into your body, mirroring the rhythm of the village and forest. The ritual continues, slow and deliberate. Lanterns are lifted slightly, casting arcs of golden light across the snow, letting the soft pulse of life, snow and wind fill your mind with peace. Evening deepens. The river murmurs faintly beneath ice. Trees sway gently, and the forest waits patiently. In and out. Imagine the gentle rise and fall of snowflakes, the soft crunch of footsteps, the faint shimmer of ice and frost around you. The children, now attentive and calm, watch the slow descent of snow, feeling the rhythm of winter in their bones. They learn to move with awareness, to notice without rushing, to feel the pulse of the forest, the village, and the snow. In and out. dear listener, let your mind settle with theirs. Later, Ellen rises slowly, brushing snow lightly from her cloak. She walks the edge of the clearing, feeling the subtle rise and fall of wind, listening to faint murmurs in the forest, noticing tiny shifts in snow and ice. In and out, let your own breath expand and contract with this gentle rhythm, carrying you deeper into relaxation. Lysa kneels beside the well again, hands resting lightly on its rim. She breathes slowly in and out, feeling the pulse of generations, the rhythm of the forest. Dear listener, let your own breath follow this steady rhythm. In and out, feel the snow, the wind, the soft glow of lanterns, the quiet forest, and the calm village flow through your body. The village endures. The snow settles softly. The well reflects only quiet light, and you may rest here, carried by the rhythm of presence, snow, and gentle winter awareness.